very first D.Scoop, there was a gal, and I can't remember her name. I think she was from Boise, Idaho, and she gave a session about you got to get your team involved. They have to be part. If they're not part of the decision, then they're going to fight against it.
I've always said your customers might not always pay your price, but they will always pay for good service. Hey everybody, I want to thank you for watching the podcast and helping me on this journey. I really do appreciate all of you. What I have found interesting is that 89% of the viewers do not subscribe. What I need for you to do to help me is to subscribe to the videos. Please like and subscribe. That is what's going to give me more support than anything. I appreciate all you viewers. I appreciate everything that you do. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I have got a show for you today. This is probably one of my best friends in the whole world that's been in the printing business. He and I been around together and oh God, I bet it's been 25, 30 years, I guess. And I asked him if he'd be on the show. He said he'd be happy to. So here he is. He is Jack Glacken. He owns a printing company in Philly. I believe it's called Today's Graphics, and it's quite a successful business. He's been very involved. It's the same thing with me. We are both one of the ones that started Dscoop. We are the two really original founders of Dscoop, which is the digital solutions cooperative, for the viewers out there, which was sponsored by HP. And it was just really a good users group when digital print started coming about. But I'd like to introduce Jack Glacken.
Thank you, Larry. I'm thrilled to be on the show. This is really, really exciting for me.
Well, that's great to have you. I surely am. It's been at least 25 years, Jack.
I think it was, we first met in the Digital Printing Advisory Council that Francis McMahon started, and I believe that was 2003.
Okay.
Yeah, so 23 years, yeah.
Isn't that something how that just
yeah, in New Orleans. Remember that? We met in New Orleans, yeah.
Yeah. My wife, Jody, she was there, and she was giving everybody gambling lessons, how to play on the poker table.
Yeah. Your wife, Jody, is a legend in the D.Scoop community. No question about it.
She is. I always get tickled, and they're not really that excited to see me, but boy, they can't wait to get a hold of Jody and talk to her. And
absolutely. She is something else.
Oh, she's a delight. She really is. It's hard to believe, Jack. God almighty, it just seemed like it was the other day. I mean, we've been married now 40 years.
Yeah. We're going to be 45.
This
46.
Is
46.
But now you're also, I want to mention to everybody, but Jack Glacken was the very first one to receive a Jack Glacken Award, there at Dscoop. But I'll never forget that when the board met, and you weren't in the board, and we were talking about, we wanted to award you with something. And so finally I said, well, you just need to come up. It's just a Jack Glacken Award, and it's been some good people, and I think the last one that we did was Yuki Otomoto in California.
That's right. Yeah, Yuki. Absolutely.
Well deserved. I hadn't seen him in quite a few years. He and I text a fair amount, but when I was in California, and golly, and I saw him and he just walked in, I just couldn't believe it. It was just so nice seeing him, because he lives in Tokyo.
Yes. Yeah. He's a great guy, Yuki. Super guy. A lot of times we get asked to do a job. Can you send it over, overseas somewhere? And every time I email Yuki, he comes right back at me. He's just a great guy. So
that's great.
By the way, Larry, the very first DPAC, and you were instrumental. You were the first global chairman for Dscoop, and I know you traveled all over the world. But the very first one in Europe, it's called EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I gave out the Jack Glacken Award, and I said to them there, I said, if actually John Bailey got it, your
Oh,
buddy John Bailey, who we all know is just one of the greatest. What a great guy, and what he's done for D.Scoop since you and I have kind of been out of it is just amazing. But I said, if you want to know what it's like to have an award named after you while you're still alive, it's embarrassing. And it really is. I mean, hey, it's great for the ego, but every year on stage, it's embarrassing, So
yeah, but Jack, you're here to give the award.
yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
That's
That's a good
that's the
thing.
main thing,
Yeah, I
it
won't be
surely is.
embarrassed in a couple of years, but it's embarrassing every year. So
I love it. I surely do. Well, and since I stepped out, and I'm slowly but surely I'm going to be working my way back in because I stepped out and I was helping Francis over at a group called Think that was
uh,
sponsored by Canon, and I think I left about it was the 10th or 11th season, I believe, and then right now we're about 20 years, aren't we?
we're going to be 21 in Denver. Yep, 21.
Oh,
So
well, I'm planning to go to Denver, and hopefully, I'll be able to because I wanted to take Aubrey too with me because
yeah,
she'll be able to be there to, just see what all I've been talking about for
exactly.
for a couple of years. Then also we'll be able to do some podcasts and some different
That's
things.
great.
So I'm looking forward to it.
You know what? We'll be 21 years old, so we'll be able to drink when we go to the conference.
Finally, yeah, there you go. That's exactly
We
right.
haven't done that for the first 20 years.
Oh my God, boy! When we first started that with Rod Key and Ron Kukla and
Yeah,
Chris Petro and oh
yeah.
my God, boy, we were wound like 8-day clocks, and I'm telling you, we
Yeah.
were having a big time. Well,
Remember,
tell me, I've been keeping up with you, and your transition of your business has
yeah,
really been something to me. Because you were basically similar to me, just a basic commercial printer, but then you started getting more involved with Shutterfly, and they were a tremendous success for you. And then also, I just found out that you started working with Canva.
we did, and we're super excited about that. We just started in July. Now, we used to do work for Canva through Gelato, and then those guys kind of parted ways. So I was after Canva for a couple of years, and finally got them. We started with them in July, and we were going gangbusters with them. And they're just great people. They got a great business going, and we're really excited about it. Yeah. So yeah, e-commerce is basically really, it's now about 75, 73% of our business, and it's got its good things, and it's got its not so good things. Most of the thing about e-commerce is that a lot of the work is done in the fourth quarter calendar year, which is our beginning of our first quarter fiscal year. But basically, Thanksgiving to the holidays, and so you're super busy. I mean, working around the clock. I'm going in there at 4:30, 5:30, quarter six in the morning. We're all shipping, we're all helping out in some way. And then it kind of dies down in February, and then you feel like you're at a funeral or something. But it is a ton of work, and it's a lot of fun. It really is. And these companies like Minted and Canva now and Shutterfly and Mix Tiles out of Israel. We have a bunch of companies, TouchNote out of UK. So we're really doing work for all over the world. Our test out of Spain. It's amazing. But like I said, it's got its challenges as well. And one of them is you work crazy hours for about a month, and then after that it kind of dies down.
And a lot of it is pretty quick turn time, is what I understand.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Canva is 1 day SLA. Everything's got to be done in 1 day. Some of
Wow.
the other stuff is 2 days. But it's a quick turnaround, no question, and which fit right in with us, Larry. We were always fast turnaround. We never say no. Um, and it's a tough business, though, as you know.
I know it. I've kept up with Canva since they started. I thought it was a very, very interesting story. The young lady that started it, her name I believe is Melanie.
Okay,
I think
I
that's
did
her
not
name.
know. Yeah.
That she young girl, and she had this idea, and she went to like 100 VC groups, banks, trying to get
Yeah.
financing on her idea. And then finally, it was like the 101st guy that she went to, and he said, "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea." And then she started it, and she was like the youngest female billionaire
Wow.
in
Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah.
So she got a heck of a deal, and she got a great team behind her. You
Yeah.
said something a while ago about gelato. Now, are they still around?
Yeah, they're still around. They're going pretty good. We're actually not doing work with them. We did a lot of work for them for a while, and part of it was Canva. But yeah, Gelato's still around. They're a great company. I've actually been over to Norway, that is where their headquarters are, and they have a partner conference every year. And they're good people. They really are. And they have a thing called Gelato Connect now, which is kind of it's an integration with your customers. Canva uses HP SiteFlow, so that's kind of like HP SiteFlow and Gelato Connect are kind of mirroring each other. But yeah, they're a good outfit, very good outfit.
Well, I think, if I'm not wrong, I think a few years ago, Gelato opened up a manufacturing facility here in Houston.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm almost sure that's who that was, because they had hired a guy that I know, and he went to work for them and to help him sell and promote that. But he was just a real commercial print sales guy,
Yeah.
and so it was hard for him to really get to understand what he was selling. So he was there, I think, about 6 months, and then he chose that it was time for him to do something else. But I want to talk a little bit, Jack, about your team, and I think your leadership is similar to mine. I mean, you're kind of hands off. I mean, you've got the employees there; they're adults. They know what they need to be doing, and so you've got some great business partners too.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, it's kind of funny because I just viewed that thing the other night with Color Bar with Betsy Davis and Kim Upchuck, and Francis mentioned this, and I say this all the time. But Francis said this, and he was talking about us with D.Scoop, that he's starting D.Scoop. He was really, remember, he was really put himself out
He
there.
did.
Were you weren't on the ice board, right? I was on the ice board. You weren't, were you? So ice was the original users group for HP. And
Yeah, no, I wasn't on it, Jack, but I went to one ICE meeting, and it was in Las Vegas.
okay, yeah,
And the way that I saw that they were basically treating Francis when he was up on stage,
absolutely, yeah,
and I thought, geez, I can't believe professionals are acting like that. And then after that I mean, I'd had enough. And then when I got back to Houston, well, I called Lita, and I told her, I said, "You're not going to believe how they treated Francis when he was up on stage, and just, drilling him and talking
great.
to him and negative, negative, negative." And I said, "Francis needs to start his own users group." And she said, "Larry, we got that handled. We just talked to Jack."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, okay, well, count me in. I'm happy to help out."
Well, a guy named George Carlisle, he was in the industry. He was president of Indigo for a while, and he asked me to be on the ICE board because he said we need some positive people on the board. And it was just every year, it was just like they were. I mean, it was only 2 or 3 years I was on it, but they would want to just fight with HP. And then when Francis came in, and you and I both know Francis isn't that type of person. And it just knocked heads. And I never in my life quit anything. And Francis asked me to. It was just so bad what was going on. I think Rod Key left the board, and then Francis asked me to be the first chairman of D.Scoop, and and I said this is the right thing to do, and it really was, because it just wasn't working out. And what I was about to say about Francis on Betsy Davis's show was that he mentioned, and getting back to my team at TGI, he mentioned that he surrounded himself with good people, and he certainly did that with the D-Scoop board. I mean, And I was first chairman, but really it was you and John Rogers and all the great guys that we had on that board. But it's the same thing with today's graphics. I've never thought I was the smartest guy in my company. I never thought I had all the answers. And you're right, Rick and Scott Elfrith, they're my partners, twin guys. Sometimes I call them twin pain in the asses, but they put their heart and soul
You
in
did.
every single day. They wake up and they're ready to go. And we have several other guys. My son Jackie now is a super key guy for us. Very smart. He's great with the computers. Great with customer facing. Guys got Matt Marson, Jim Russo, Dan Long. It just goes a joke. It goes on and on. It really does. And they're a great team. And it is. I don't like doing it alone. And sometimes it's tough. But you listen to these guys, and they have great ideas. I'm probably like you, Larry. I'm more about listening and then making a decision. And sometimes it doesn't just happen right away. It needs to sink in and you really think about things. So
I mean, some of the best ideas came from the back part of the shop when
that's
I
right.
went back there to talk to the bindery people, to talk to shipping people, talk to the pressmen, and they, like I've said before, there was a lot of leaders that'll go in and they said, well, it has to be ran this way. Well, they've never had their hands on it, and I mean, everything is theory to them of how it's going to be done. And, if they would just take the time when they go back there and talk to the employees, tell me how this is done. How do you do it? How
right,
do you handle it?
exactly,
And then they just need to get out of there and just let them take care of whatever it is to get the job out. Because
absolutely,
they want to do a good job. They're not there to say,
exactly.
well, I'm just going to screw everything up today. Well, no, they're not.
They don't come for that, right? Yeah, they need to know that you're behind them. But you're absolutely right.
100%.
I mean, like when we're getting ready to buy a machine, whether it's a die cutter or something like that, I don't know what the hell's going on back there. But I do as much research as I can and ask as many questions as I can, and they agree with that. Actually, our very first D.Scoop, and I know we're bouncing all over the place here. I apologize for that, but there was a gal, and I can't remember her name. I think she was from Boise, Idaho, and she gave a session, one of the sessions, and it meant so much to me about you got to get your team involved. They have to be part. If they're not part of the decision, then they're going to fight against it. That's just a natural thing that people do. And boy, that taught me a big lesson. And that was the very first D-Scoop down in Sanibel Island. So, and I remember when we moved, we had a big move to do. I got everybody in a circle. I remember we bought this building and we sat around on milk crates, before we ever moved and talked about how are we going to do this. I'm telling you, Larry, nobody even knew we moved. It was unbelievable. My guys, my people did such a great job. So, and that was from that first session at D.Scoop from that lady. I can't remember her name, but I was like, oh yeah, I should get everybody involved.
I can't either, but I remember that session. I surely do.
Yeah,
I mean, and we had so many good sessions and so much education that came out of that.
yeah,
I mean, because there was a lot of people, including myself and you. I mean, we were just trying to figure it out. I mean, this was new. I mean, we were just old school printers and running pig iron, and hang it and bang it. And now we had all this digital equipment, that we could print on demand. I mean, it was just the wildest change, in the business, on that end of it. But it a lot of my skills, I say, of how to handle people, I strongly feel I was mentored by Francis.
I totally agree.
Because I would watch how he would work, and how he would handle people. And, and he is a man that I've never seen anything like it. I mean, people just want to do for him. They just want to help him, and they just want him to succeed, and he doesn't demand it, or criticize or anything. And it's, he's just a heck of a leader.
Well, I mean, like him starting those D packs. He said the other day on Betsy's show that started with Kodak when he was with Kodak, and they would do this digital printing advisory council kind of thing, or not, whatever it was for him. But that first D pack, I mean, that set the tone for D.Scoop. It really did. I mean, because
Mhm.
I walked. I remember talking to Doyle Mortimer, and I forget who else it was. We were having breakfast, and we talked about how wouldn't it be great to have a users group that was sort of like what DPAC was, and that was only after the very first one. We did what, six over 2 years. Boy, did we have a lot of fun, didn't we?
Oh my God. It traveled to some wonderful places.
Yes, we did. Yes,
Oh my God. And just, the education and how much we got to participate,
yeah,
in that. I mean, the Rogers boys,
yeah.
good people out of
Great.
Canada, and
God bless John's soul. Yeah, yeah.
oh, I know it. Boy, that's true. And then Rod Key,
Same thing. Yeah.
he was the clown, and oh God, he was a lot of fun.
Why,
We
you mean
lost
because
him.
because he drove a golf cart into the pool at our very first conference? Is that what you're calling him?
Oh, I don't know if I'd have told that, but
Yeah.
yeah, because our very, very first conference, Rod, all the time he wound like an 8 day clock. He was so much fun. Uh, I don't know what time. Oh, there's probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then he found one of the golf carts there at the hotel there, and he got into it, and somehow went around the pool, and he cut it too short, and he drove that golf cart right into the swimming pool.
Yeah, I don't. We weren't invited back to Sanibel Island. I don't
No,
think. Yeah,
no. Oh my God, I'm telling you, it was a fun time. It really
that
was.
was, and that set the tone. That set the tone for the next 20 years, next 19 years. It really did.
It did.
I mean, not
And
driving the golf cart into the pool, but I mean, how great of a conference that was.
and I talk about that a lot, because Eric, he knows numbers just out of the top of his head,
Yeah,
he'll
Eric
just give them to you.
Hawkinson. Yeah,
But somehow I think the very first D.Scoop, I think it was less than 200 people.
yes, yeah. Maybe if I'll tell you what, if it was over, if it was at 250, most of them were prospects. I mean, because we put ourselves out there. I mean, Francis especially, he probably put his job on the line,
He
but
did.
I was nervous as hell. I brought 10 people, you know,
Yep.
just to make the numbers better. Because if that failed, we would have really had egg on our face.
Oh,
Remember Kevin Despain from
oh yeah.
Rackstar? Kevin called me after I told Francis I would be the first chairman. He said, "You're going to have a target on your back," and I was like, "You think so?" He goes, "Absolutely." I said, "Well, if I have a target on my back, what am I going to do?" But this ice thing's just not working out. So yeah,
Well,
that was
Kevin Despain, he was kind of the guy to
yeah.
watch
Yes, he was. Yes, he
because
was.
he was very forward thinking the way that he had his shop. And during some of the D scoops, he sold his shop,
Yes, he did.
did
Yeah,
very well.
I heard a couple different numbers. I would take either one. You know,
Oh, and run.
one was really high that he sold it for, and one was, not as high, not even close. But I'd take either one.
Oh, it's still a lot of money. That's exactly right. But that was very, very interesting because I would watch him, what he did. And you would never suspect that out of Kevin.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
He was just trying to kind of low key there.
yeah, yeah. He
But
was.
do you take on because I think that I mentor a lot of young adults and I try to help them out and just figure out life and just getting out of college, and saving money, and they just need all the help that they possibly can. And a lot of times I took them into the shop to let them work kind of as an intern and, to help them out. And God, they were great employees. I knew they weren't going to be permanent employees, but at least they came in and worked and they learned, and I still talk to them to this day. Now, do you run your shop like that also?
You mean bringing young people in? Yeah, definitely. As a matter of fact, Larry, it's a great example. We had to go out to Mint for the partner conference in a couple weeks, and we have a young lady. Actually, her parents work for us as well, and all three of them do a fantastic job. But this young lady is going to be a superstar, and so we had to take we could take two or three people, but I said, why don't we take Emily? And both Scott Alfred, my partner, and Ron Jackson, who's another great guy that we that is on our team. He kind of runs Minted, and he said, yeah, that's a great idea. So she's going out with us. Yeah, she's got I don't know if she's even 25 years old, but she's a bright young girl, and we're very excited about taking her out there. So to San Francisco.
Well, and sometimes it's hard to get young people involved in the printing industry.
Yeah. And you know what? With e-commerce, like we have maybe like 60 full-time employees, or maybe 55. We will have 300 temps during the day in December. It's unbelievable. I mean, 24 hours a day. And then, these people, they work for temp agencies. They don't have a job, and they're just looking for any kind of work. And then we get to see some really bright people, and I mean, and we love them. So now what we'll do is several people have been hired by us full time. We're allowed to do that after they're a temp for us for 3 months. We're allowed to hire them full time if we want, and it's a great thing. It really is. And we're seeing more and more young bright people that are, Larry, and you'll appreciate. They're hungry. They're hungry for a job. They're hungry, for something that they can feel good about. And we have a lot of fun at TGI. We don't. It's not very serious. So we have, we do a lot of laughing.
And it makes it a very good environment when you have it when it's fun like that.
Exactly. And they see that, and they see that we care about them, and they see the fun going on, and the laughing, and the ball busting, and so they want to work for us, which is great.
And fantastic. Well, there was a period there that I ran into some problem because I was trying to find experienced letterpress operators.
Yeah.
It's just press operators, because I had a had an 8-color 40-inch perfector.
Okay.
And there's just not people off the street that know how to run that particular type press. And I went through, 2 or 3 years there just trying to find craftsmen.
Right. Yeah.
And nowadays it really doesn't take craftsmen.
No, because you're not going to find them. I mean, I'll tell you what, we're having trouble finding guillotine cutters.
Right.
It's crazy. So we're doing a lot of training, and fortunately, our customers are putting up with some of the stuff that we're seeing. Like when we first started doing Canva work, oh my gosh, like we would be shipping jobs at least like little business cards or postcards. But we've gotten a lot, and they would say, "You guys, we'd say we're gonna do better. We're gonna do better." And now the stuff I'm seeing going out is really beautiful. So, but you're right, it's been hard.
It's been tough, and the other thing, of course, you've really got to keep your candle covered, because if you step away from it, it's going to blow out.
Yeah.
Because right during the turn, I think between like the late 90s, the early 2000s, there was a tremendous change in the print industry.
Yes, there was. Yeah.
And the print industry is cash intensive. Yeah. Man, I'm telling you, it's sucking dollars out of your pocket all the time.
Absolutely.
And business was changing from analog to digital.
Yeah.
And also just trying to figure it out. But then, you bought all this, big iron, I call it, big presses. And now you're going to have to spend money to keep up on all the digital equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
You're talking, anywhere from $500,000 to, $2 million.
Oh yeah, with no problem at all. Larry, I remember being down at was it HP? Yeah, I think it was HP, and they asked me to be on a panel about something. I'm saying this because you just mentioned cash intensive, and everybody kept talking about printing being a commodity. I'm like, commodity. I go, we had to hire a ton of people, we had to buy a ton of equipment, and we had to work crazy hours. And if we don't do a really good job, we're going to get screamed at, or tell them we're going to get thrown out. How is that a commodity business? So I was like, my message to everybody is, stop selling price. Get the price that you're supposed to get, or that you need to get. So
I've always said your customers might not always pay your price, but they will always pay for good service.
That's correct. That's correct.
Hands down, because I know and I had some great customers. I really did. And of course, I was at their doorstep every day, and boy, I'd respond to what they needed, and answer all the phone calls and, emails and, whatever it took. And then, Annette that worked for me.
Yes. Yeah.
She's my right-hand person at that time, and where I couldn't fill in, well, she would fill in because she got copies of every single one of my emails.
Right.
When they came in, and she knew, said, well, I got to get this one handled. And we were just able to stay on top of the service of what the customers expected, because it went, in the changeover of my customers' business. Well, they were having to downsize, and they were laying people off. And well, all of a sudden, I was filling in for some of the employees that they didn't have anymore, and yeah. And then all of a sudden, I became pretty valuable to them, which was great, and so we had just a tremendous working partnership there. And they were pretty much customers for life.
Yeah.
They surely were,
I remember, I think I remember meeting in that, but what I really remember is Larry's Angels. Those three beautiful girls. They were like 6'2" and absolutely gorgeous. Remember?
Oh,
three of them, Larry's Angels.
I know, because they traveled with me everywhere. They really did, and
I don't blame you.
Megan, she is over, her husband was transferred over to London. He works for Shell Oil, and he was transferred over there, and it's like a 2 or 3 year stint, I think.
Wow.
And then Fuzzy had Melissa, the blonde.
The blonde,
yeah. And matter of fact, I talked to her almost every day. I talked to her yesterday for a little bit, and I told her I was fixing to be on a podcast with you, and she says, "Oh my God, be sure to tell him I said hi." And I said, "I'll do that." But she's here in Houston. She in working with me, and when I merged with a guy for a couple of years, and it just didn't work out just how I wanted it to work out, and I could see that Melissa was getting frustrated. So I helped her get a job at academy here in town. And then finally, she had an opportunity to go to San Diego or was it San Francisco, for Levi Strauss.
Oh, wow. How about that? Yeah.
And then she became like the lead packaging designer for Levi Strauss. And then COVID came, and then they had to work from home. And so she just came back to Houston and just worked from here, and and she works for them still under contract, but she's part-time. And now she's a freelancer, and she can't keep up with everything, people try to give her. I mean, she works with them. I mean, she works with the Texans, and she works with the Astros. I mean, of course, she's a sports girl. You know that.
Yeah, and Megan was a heck of a basketball player in college, right?
Oh, a tremendous basketball player. I remember she had the all-time 3-point shot record for the college there in Abilene. Yeah. And it holds today.
Yeah. Yeah. I still remember getting a picture with Larry's Angels. And I wouldn't let you in the picture. I said, I just want to pretend they're Jack's Angels for a couple of minutes, all right?
They were good ladies, and I'm going to tell you, I mentored them and helped them out, and they are very thankful to me. It's always very nice.
You can tell if you're staying in touch with them, that how much. Well, you could tell how much they loved you then, and the fact that you're staying in touch with them all the time is a great thing, Larry. You're
good. I mean, they're good. They've had little kids. Of course, I gave Megan away at her wedding.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, it's crazy. Well, her boyfriend, he called me and asked for her hand in marriage.
Okay. Did he really?
Yep. And, and then Megan asked me, after he proposed to her, to be, to give her away at the wedding. Of course, this tore me up, Jack. Just tore me up. But I was so honored to do that. And so It was great. Of course, I was involved with Melissa's wedding too, down in New Orleans.
Yeah,
Matter of fact,
that's
both her
great.
weddings were down in New Orleans.
Yeah, good for you. Well, it says a
So
lot about you,
it was a lot of fun. But and they were people, young people that were involved in the print industry, and they are still involved in the print industry,
Yeah,
which is good.
that's great stuff.
Because a lot of people, they just get in and they go out, and and they don't come back to it. You said that you had like 55 FTEs right now.
Yeah, about that. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
That includes, we have that little implant operation in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Finance. So that includes, the folks down there. So they're who are
Okay.
good people.
All right. Yeah, I couldn't remember. You've had that down there a few years, I think, haven't you?
For a long time. Yeah. Unfortunately, since COVID, since the pandemic, it just hasn't been what it was. It was gangbusters before, but people are still not working. They're still working from home,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's still going. It's just not as great as it was.
Okay. Yeah, because you've had that down there, about 5 years?
No, way more than that. Maybe 15 years now. Yeah,
Oh, I didn't realize that.
it's definitely over 10. I know that because we bought equipment a couple different times to keep it going. So you know,
How is that to manage when you have a shop, away from your shop?
well, Scott Elfer's in charge of that, and he's got a great guy down there, Dustin Hilton, who manages it, and he's a great kid. As a matter of fact, we brought him up for 2 weeks during peak season during December to help us print and everything else. He's a very, very sharp kid, smart kid.
That's
So,
fabulous.
yeah.
One other person I was going to ask you about. I mean, I think she's a great lady, and she means a lot to me. Lita Wood.
Yeah.
Have you talked to her lately?
I have. Well, we stay in contact on LinkedIn because something will be posted about her, or about me, and we'll stay, keep in contact that way. But yeah, I mean, I've seen her at the D.Scoop conferences. She comes to that every year, and but no, we don't stay as in touch. Not like on a daily basis by any means. But who doesn't love Lita? And and once again, as sharp as Francis is, as great as Francis is, he needs to surround himself with good people, and he certainly did a good job with Lita Wood. I mean, she was her right hand person.
Oh, she was a lovely lady, and I will never forget. I mean, she's the one that drove me to be the global president. I mean, go and speak in front of all these people. We had all those Asians. There's like
Yeah,
2,800 Asians that
yeah,
I'd talk. I was scared to death.
yeah.
Getting up there and talking to
Well,
them.
yeah, I mean, because you went over to Asia for a while, right? A couple different times, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I went to Singapore, and then that's where I met with all the guys, and we really started, for
Right.
APJ.
Yeah.
And I kind of handpicked who was Yuki was there,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
several others, and then I went over to South Korea, and I was over there, for a little bit, and then I went over to. Let's see, where did I go? I went to Barcelona. Now, did you go? You went over to
Yeah, I
Barcelona?
was in Barcelona. Yeah, a
Yeah,
couple times. Yeah.
and then
Uh,
of course Israel. We were both over
we were
in
both in Israel. How
Israel.
about that, huh?
Oh,
My son Joey. I took him over. He was a senior in high school, and it was the teenager thing. We were having some, weren't communicating, and Terry didn't want to go. By the way, we had to bring up Thelma and Louise while we're talking about, for the viewers out there. So, Larry's wife Jody she's, like I said, she's a D.Scoop legend. What a character! But
yeah.
my wife Terry, whenever we would go to, we were in Phoenix, wherever we would go, we would be in the conferences all day, and those two would just get a rental car and they would just go off somewhere. So we call them Thelma and Louise.
Thelma and Louise. Boy, I'm telling you, and then that people have says, well, where are they? I said, I don't know. You'll hear them in a little bit.
Who knows? They'll be back. Let's go to the bar. They'll be back.
Oh my God. Terry doing good?
Terry's doing great, thank you. Yeah, and how about Jody? Yeah,
Oh, she's doing good. She's
I
doing
remember after like the second or third, maybe it was even more than that. Francis called Jody the wrong name. He was like,
He called her Judy.
Judy, that's it. Yeah, Judy was like, Francis, we've been together for like 2 years now, and you calling her Judy? Yeah.
Oh God. I remember she never would let him forget that. Well, that is exactly right.
Yeah, so I've been over Europe 3 times for DPAC conferences. I love
Okay.
it over there. I love Europe, but I never did make it over to Asia Pacific. But the folks over there. Oh, by the way, I got to tell you the story.
Yeah.
So I was just over there. Canva is really big on the environment and sustainability, which I think is fantastic. They have a solar farm, which is fantastic. And we're going to actually be buying energy from them um, pretty soon. But anyway, I'm over there because they had a sustainability conference. Small, not like the D.Scoop conference, but maybe more like about 75 people. And I went over to Milan, Italy, to
Mm.
do that. So Eugenia, who's she's kind of like our Peter Van Tiesling's right hand person for Europe. Or for EMEA. So when I get there, I just walk in and, we're all getting together. And she asked me to come up and say a few words about how D.Scoop started. And she said, well, I got up there and I said to her, I mentioned you, Larry, and, the Francis McMahon, and why we started it and all that stuff. And and that was it, just a few minutes. And I go sit down and she goes, yeah. And what Jack didn't mention was that they started in a garage, and that's how they started. They were in a garage first and came up with the idea. And I'm thinking, no, it wasn't a garage. It was in a bar in Atlantic City. I go,
Right.
Hewlett and Packard started in a garage, not Jack and Larry, so, and
That's
Francis.
exactly right.
Yeah.
But
So,
and that is true. We were in a room probably
yeah.
by 15 feet, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It was a pretty small room. You're right. In
Sitting
Atlantic
there,
City.
had no idea what in the world we were doing, and just trying to come up with ideas, and
Yeah.
then what are we going to call it? Boy, we came up with some asinine names, but finally we settled on D.Scoop.
Yeah. And Smith Buckland came up with that, and Eric Hawkins' team. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which was a great name. It turned out to be a fantastic name. Yeah, we
fantastic.
did have come up. I think I came up with the idea of Help, which was really a stupid name. And, but you're right. We didn't know what to do. And we talked about bringing in large format, but that would be down the road. And God knows, look at the organization today. I mean, what we started and what we started was fantastic. And it's a global, what's there, like 15, 16,000 members, which is just amazing. But you know what? I say it every year. What we did was great, but the people like the John Baileys and David Bennett's and Mark Sarpers and all those people that just kept it going and made it better and better. That's just a phenomenal thing.
It is, Jack, and all of these guys, for the viewers, just have to make y'all understand this fantastic guys, fantastic
Yeah.
people. And, there's no competition.
Nope.
It's all collaboration.
Yeah.
Everybody helps each other. I can call Yuki. I can call Jack.
Yeah.
I can call whoever that's within,
Right.
D.Scoop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is how we do it.
Well, I mean, we know from growing up in the commercial printing market industry, I should say. You didn't talk to each other. You didn't never would help each other. You might be cordial a little bit, but I mean nowadays with this whole D.Scoop thing, and that's what Francis' whole vision was. Francis' vision was, we're all going to work together. It's going to be HP working with the print partners, and then also the solution partners, and it's just been that way all the time. There's a company called Anstat, Matt Doran, not too far from here, maybe 2 hours away. We have the same customers, and we call each other all the time to help each other out. Rosemarie and Brian over in Bloom and Collins, Chicago, we're on the
Yes.
phone. we bug the hell out of them. And we just ask questions. What do you do for this? How do you run your die cutter? What size do you print it? It's fantastic, and that's what D.Scoop's all about.
Oh, 100%. It really is. I'm just so honored, so thrilled that point in my life that I was able to be involved in that.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
I mean, I've got memories and I've got friends and that are just lasting.
Absolutely. We've met people all over the world, and
Yep.
then we continue to meet new people. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Remember Susan Moore, right?
Oh,
Susan.
oh God, yeah.
Every time that I pick up a Canva job or a minute job or Shutterfly, whatever that is, she gave a session. I remember it was the eighth or ninth session, whatever, about the customer experience. And she said, when the customer receives something, and what I do every time I go to ship a job, and I help out a lot as much as I can. I enjoy it. I like to see the work, and I like it. I'll think about, okay, if I'm going to open up this package, or if my wife with Terry was going to open up this package, and she saw the way it's packaged, how would she feel? You know what I mean? And that's how I try to ship a job, and I try to push that on to all the folks around us. Because that was a great session she gave, customer experience. And Susan hasn't been involved in a long time, but I mean, I'll never forget that.
And I remember that Susan and Bob Moore are just wonderful people.
We had so many great people. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
You know,
we really did. It's just
a lot of
absolutely nuts. But Jack, it's always good catching up with you. And God Almighty, I'm just so tickled to death that you were on the show today, so we could talk. I mean, and we probably got another 2 hours of memories and people, that we could talk about. We surely did. But I thank you so much for being on the show and talking about your company and talking about D.Scoop, which you and I are both love dearly, and all the people within there. So hopefully you'll be able to come on the show again.
Thank you, Larry. And the one last thing I forgot to mention was, remember, Terry and I came down to your shore home in Galveston Bay. And I remember Alain Barchenet gave me at the very first D.Scoop conference. He gave me a bottle of
That's right.
wine from Israel, and I said, "Larry, you were the conference chair. You did all the work. I just got to some of the glory." They said, "We're going to bring that bottle of wine down, and we're going to remember we had the picture, 4 of us toasting Alain Barchenet, who was another amazing person."
Oh my God! During all of the craziness that was going on in Israel, I kept in touch with David and Yogev and Alon,
right?
And we emailed quite regularly. I haven't talked to them probably in the past month or so.
Because Mixed House is our account, they're out of Tel Aviv. I mean, they're in our shop all the time. And the same thing here. We've kept in touch with them because that it's been crazy what's going on over there. And some of the guys that we dealt with, or people we dealt with, were put into the service. They were called up away from their job and put into service. And we'd be worried to death about them because they're just such beautiful people. And so yeah, I know what you're saying there. Yeah, Alain's a good man.
A good man,
And Larry, thank you. I'm so honored to be on your show. I've seen Eric Hawkinson on and Chris Petro, and obviously Joe Manos recently, and some of the young kids that you've mentored over the years. And this is a great thing you're doing, Larry. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Love you. Give Jody my love.
I'll do it. Tell Terry I said I love you.
Good. Love you too, Larry. You take
care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
If you're enjoying The Larry Vaughn Show, don't forget to give the episode a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell to ensure you never miss a new episode.